Search Cassini, SEO, and the Impossible Dream. Sandy's here, Karen's here, and I'm here, and we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Hope you all are ready. Hey, Charlene. Yes, Danny, this will be recorded.
Multiple times.
She says she's running and ducking because we get that question an awful lot. What's really funny, for those of you listening who haven't been here before, is that question will be asked probably about 12 times throughout the webinar. So Danny's just giving us a heads up. Hi, Sharon. Nice to see you. For those of you wondering where I'm getting all this wonderful feedback, there is a question box on the side of your webinar screen if you're not familiar with it. For some of you, yeah, Ellen, only 12. For some of you, there's a question box and a chat box, and we've had the experience in the past that not everyone can see the chat box. So if you want to use the chat box, that can communicate to the entire group. However, some people may not be able to see it, so we tend to do a lot of communicating up in the question box. Hi, Robert. Hey, Sharon. Good to see you, Joyce. We got a good live audience for you, Sandy. They're all checking in right now.
Awesome.
Awesome. We like an engaged audience, and I think the topic is going to be very engaging.
Sure.
Hey, Mark from Bubbles Fast. No chat here. Yeah, we haven't been able to narrow it down, Joyce. I thought maybe it was an operating system, PC or web or Mac, and that's not it. We thought, well, maybe it's a browser issue, and couldn't figure that one out. So we don't know why, but some people have a question box
Danny,
in the chat.
We're not talking about those. Nope.
Yeah, Sunita, I'm sorry. It's better than taxes. Good point, Charlene. We haven't figured it out. Carolyn asked if it was Chrome, but we don't know. Alton is in the house. Welcome, Alton. We haven't, have we, Karen? When it first started happening, we really worked hard trying to figure out, okay, who's seeing it and who's not, and we finally just gave up and decided we're going to call it a glitch. So if you can see the chat, feel free to use it. If you can't, use the question box. Now, here's the other thing. The attendees cannot see the question box unless someone answers the question. So if you see me putting just a smiley face or some silly little reply, I'm doing that so the rest of the audience can see the question, okay? So we do our best to turn the chat box or the question box into a semi-chat. Karen does the actual answering of the questions, and she'll handle that during the live show. But if you see me,
I don't answer them.
No, well,
I don't answer any questions.
You answer some. Ad blocker, Carolyn. I wonder if that's it. Interesting. Webinar Jam. I don't know, Jenny. There are so many products out there now that are using Google Hangouts that we are checking out. So far, we have not found one that is reliable and makes the user experience as smooth as GoToWebinar. So we're still looking, and I have high hopes because we do love the integration with Google Plus and all of that. But right now, we're sticking with GoToWebinar.
One thing people might check out, I think there is a iPad app or an iPhone app for GoToWebinar that may give them a better experience.
Interesting.
There's an Android one, too.
There are apps for all of them. That's a great idea. If you have an iPhone or an iPad and you want to try that, that's awesome.
I would get too frustrated trying to type. I hate typing on those little things.
We're not the texting generation. Our kids can type faster there than I can type on my keyboard.
Yeah. That's because they only use letters. There's no words.
True.
There is no words.
I found myself spelling hate, H in the letter 8. I mean, I guess I'm turning into a texter or something. I don't know.
Oh, God, that's scary.
Funny.
So I hate that. I-H and the number 8. Okay, well, we are at 12:02. I think we've given our latecomers a chance. Gary says she agrees with us all on phone typing. It's tough. But I think we're about ready to get started. Are you ready, Sandy?
I'm ready.
All right, let's push all the record buttons, everybody, and we'll get this show on the road. Let me double check that button is pushed. You know how everybody asks, so we better make really sure that we're not lying when we say, yes, it's being recorded.
Eric.
Oh, Eric's here. Good job. Okay, here we go. Ready? Last minute sound check. Sandy?
Yes, hi.
Karen?
Yep.
All right.
Now I'm going to mute myself. Bye.
Bye. Welcome, everybody, to today's top-rated seller webinar. We are so happy you've joined us for Search, Cassini, SEO, and the Impossible Dream, presented by Sandy Garcia, also known as Social Sandy. Next slide.
I can do that.
Just give us a chance, guys. We're getting started here. We always have to do the housekeeping, and we've already been asked the question once, so let's just throw it out there. Yes, this session is being recorded and will be available soon on our YouTube channel, and we will send all of those who registered a link to the recording. The presentation slides from Sandy will also be linked on that page, so you'll have a PDF you can download to look at the slides. Don't worry about missing anything. If you're having audio problems hearing the presentation and you're on the phone, the simplest solution is just to hang up and call back. If you're having audio issues and you're on the computer, you may want to try using the phone dial-in number. You'll find that on the right panel. You'll find a phone number and a PIN number. We want to make sure you stay connected with the Top Rated Seller webinars. Please sign up for our newsletter. You can find the sign up at pagemage.com/Top Rated Seller webinars. Our newsletter is infrequent, but when it goes out, it's got good stuff. Info, selling tips, and seller advice, a link to all the recordings of past webinars, and news on what's coming up next. You can also stay connected on our rapidly growing Facebook group. We're over 1,500 sellers. We have a very active community there. Great place to ask questions about your eBay business. You can also engage in the conversation on Twitter. Please use your hashtag TRSW if you want to ask questions or comment on our Twitter activity. Our next webinar is coming up soon, and guess what? It's telling you about the holidays coming up soon. The webinar is going to be given by Lisa Satora of lisasatora.com, and the title is The Time Is Now, Preparing Your eBay Business to Maximize Holiday Sales. Sign up for this at pagemage.com/Top Rated Seller webinars. This will be Wednesday, June 25th, after the eBay radio party. Be sure to sign up. We want to mention our sponsors, because without sponsors, we would not be able to present these top-notch educational webinars to you all. Our #1 sponsor is Social Beacon from PageMage. Social Beacon is a free app that enables you to promote all your items for sale across social media. You can measure your social selling and learn what's working. Our next major sponsor is Stamps.com. If you haven't signed up for Stamps yet, you're missing an easy way to increase your business. With Stamps.com, you can import orders from multiple marketplaces, and it will also automatically post the delivery confirmation numbers for you. Stamps.com also hosts a brand-free program for eBay sellers. Check it out at Stamps.com. We're also sponsored by Outright, which is now known as GoDaddy Online Bookkeeping. Put your accounting on autopilot, pull together sales and expense data, imports from all of your sales marketplace. Check it out at Outright.com. We're also sponsored by eBay Radio, where you've got the griff. eBay Radio is live every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Pacific Time. You can listen live. If you missed the show, there are great archives. Check out eBay Radio at voicemarketingradio.com/VMR. And we're grateful to our connectors, Kat Simpson, that's me, of thatcat.com. You can find Karen Locker at solutionsforecommerce.com. Now, here comes Sandy. Are you ready, Sandy?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is Search, Cassini, SEO, and the Impossible Dream. And the hashtag for today's webinar is hashtag TRSW. Disregard what you see on your screen. There have been a lot of questions and confusion related to search, and I'm hoping to give everyone a basic fundamental understanding of what search is and how it works, so that the next time you hear a change or a news story, you have a better understanding of what's actually going on. So what we're going to go through today, we'll go through a basic primer. I'm calling it Going Back to School Search Engines 101. And we're going to take a look at Google and the 3 pillars of search engine optimization called SEO. Then we'll move over to eBay, take a look at Cassini and the 3 pillars of Cassini optimization. I'm going to give you very specific action steps that you can use immediately to improve your listings. And then I want to refocus on some of the key takeaways. At the end of the presentation, I have presents for everybody and a big announcement.
Yay, presents! We like presents, Sandy.
I'm sorry I didn't get them wrapped, but it'll be all right.
That's okay.
And then we'll take we're going to take final questions at the end, but we will be stopping periodically through the presentation to take questions. And just before we start, I do want to say we're only going to be taking questions related to this webinar. That way we can get through all of the material and make sure everyone gets this great information. So let's get started. We're going to go first into Search Engines 101. So let me just define what a search engine is, because search engines are products like Google, Yahoo Search, Bing, but websites also have search engines built in. So Amazon has their own search engine, eBay has their own search engine that they've built and designed to help people find products inside of those websites. Basically it's a program that searches for and identifies items in a database that correspond to the keywords or characters that you put into the search box. Cassini is the name of the search engine inside eBay.com, and Google Search is the search engine product of Google.com. I'm going to be focusing on Google because they have such a tremendous market share in the search engine field. However, if it's optimized for Google, it's going to be optimized for Yahoo and Bing and Ask and all of the other search engines out there. So the best practices will cross over. The program of a search engine, think of it as a recipe. It's proprietary, and it's generally protected by lawyers and lots of patents. So as search technology continues to evolve and become more sophisticated, we're going to have less and less transparency into how these search engines work. It's sort of like seeing a car and knowing it has an engine and knowing that the engine makes it go, and you may from time to time see little parts of the car. You may know what a part of the engine looks like, but you're not going to get the schematics ever again. You're never going to understand the big picture of how all these pieces work together. So I want you to understand, we can know what some of the ingredients in that recipe are and use that knowledge to improve our listings and to improve our rank in search engines, but we're never going to get the complete recipe, whether it's from eBay or from Google. So I want everyone to just be clear about that up front. We're going to talk a lot today about search engine optimization, which is often shortened to SEO. And what SEO is, it's the strategies and techniques and tactics that you can employ when you write your listings to increase the number of visitors that come to your website or web page. For our purposes, a web page is the same thing as your listing page because that's an individual web page that lives on ebay.com. You will be getting these slides later, so you don't have to write all of this down, but I do just want to be clear about a few key definitions you may hear me using later in the webinar. A query is anything you type into a search box to find the thing. So if you're interested in the new iPod, you put iPod in the search box. That's called entering a query. A filter is a little bit different. After you do your query, you can apply a filter. And that's like using item specifics to narrow down the search field. You're going to hear the word algorithm a lot. An algorithm is a procedure or formula for solving a problem. It's the way the computers know, using logic, how to narrow things down. Basically, it's a mathematical formula that you put data into it and it kicks out a score. And that brings us to score. The score is the value of any particular listing or web page that the search engine is going to find. They're all going to be scored, and different things go into the score. So for example, using Google's going to look, we'll go into this in detail in a minute, but Google's going to look at who has shared a link to your page, is it used on social, is there good content on the page. Each of those different factors has a score. Each of those different factors has weight. It may be more important to have good content than it is to have been shared by an influential person. So the different parts of that algorithm, the different factors in there, are going to weigh differently. They'll be more or less important. Just keep in mind, not everything affects search engines in the same way. This is a really technical, fancy term, SERP. search engine results page. All that is the results. After you do a search, it's the page that pops up with your results. That's all that is. We're going to talk about links. Specifically, we're going to be talking about inbound links today. Inbound links are links out on the internet that will point to any particular web page. In a perfect world, they'll point to the listing page for one of your items. And then again, for the purposes of this webinar, a web page is the same thing as one of your eBay listing pages, item pages. And that was a lot of information right up front. Karen, do we have any questions yet before we go too far?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Oh, well, one quick one.
Sure.
Somebody has to leave early and they want to know if they can get their present later.
Yeah, we will, it'll all be emailed out. No problem.
There you go. Thank you.
just catch the replay and then fast forward to the end. All right, excellent. I found this quote and I thought it was very profound. You need to expect change and accept change if you are working in the world of the internet, if you are working in e-commerce. Trying to fight the dynamic and fluid environment of the web is not logical for your business, nor is it a fruitful use of your time. Keep emotion out of it, press forward, and adapt to the changing environment. Changes happen all the time, especially with the eBay Spring Seller updates. Just keep in mind, you can't stop change. All you can do is learn how to optimize in a new situation. So I really wanted to share that with you. I'm actually going to print this out and put it up on my wall. It'll help me breathe the next time a major change comes out. Okay, at this point I'm going to go ahead into Google and the 3 pillars of search engine optimization. I want to clarify a definition. When you search for something in Google, you're going to see these 3 different areas of the screen come up on your results page. On the left are what are known as organic results. These are results that you're doing search engine optimization to get your content into these organic results. This is a way of doing free advertising and making yourself rank as high as possible. On the right side of the screen, there's 2 different paid advertising features. The first is the PLAs, or paid listing advertisements. And you'll see here, there's a couple from eBay, and then there's a whole bunch from Etsy. So eBay and Etsy are actually spending money on your behalf to put the advertising here in the Google search engine for you. And an interesting thing that Etsy does is Etsy will actually let you earmark money to go to these paid ads, which is kind of cool. So you actually spend more, but then you can see what you're getting for it. And then below that are the AdWords. This is the Google paid ads that are text-based. And you'll see right there, number 1, eBay.com is paying for advertising. There's been a lot of drama at eBay last week. So I just wanted to touch base on one of those major things that happened. There's been news reports that eBay's traffic has fallen off Google anywhere from 33 to 80% is the statistics that I've seen. So let me just give you a moment to understand kind of what happened. First of all, Google took a manual action against eBay.com. The general sense of why that happened is that eBay was providing thin content and doorway pages into eBay.com that were not valuable pages, and they were some old school SEO tactics that were not the greatest. There's still a lot of speculation going on about what happened and why it happened. We're not getting an official word from Google. We're not getting an official word from eBay. So bear in mind, anything you hear is just speculation. All I'm pointing to, and I'll show you a couple examples in just a second, the type of pages, the type of things that were causing problems. My personal opinion on what this means, it's temporary. eBay is going to adapt how they present information to the search engines, and they will do better SEO in the future to make the search engines happy. And eBay may need to be spending some more money for product listing ads to compensate. So I think those are the things we're going to see happen. And you don't have to understand the details of all of this, but basically, when you came into eBay from a search engine, you got a page that looks something like this. And you've got a whole bunch of 138 different navigation links on the left. That one item of content has 5 screens worth of links below it, which you don't see it here, but you'll get a sense of what that looks like on the next screen. So you'll see all of this sort of thing inside of eBay. We'll probably be seeing a lot less of this going forward, and that's going to make Google happy, and then that makes everybody happy. So that's all I wanted to say about that, just to kind of give you a sense of what happened. Trust that eBay will adapt, and it will get better going forward. All right, let's move on to Google. It all started with Backrub. Not a backrub, a program called Backrub. In 1996, founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, wrote this code. It was a search algorithm, and it turned into the PageRank algorithm. And what it did was it just kind of connected the dots of all the different links out on the internet, and it could tell which links were more important based on how many people linked to them versus how many people linked to others. So Backrub and PageRank evolved into Google. Today, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And this is the fundamental core intent of all search engines. Organize information, make it accessible, and be useful to people. So Backrub evolved into the search algorithm called PageRank. PageRank used little spiders that would crawl all over the internet. Sometimes these spiders are called crawlers, and sometimes they're called robots. Those words are all used interchangeably. The spiders crawl from link to link. While they're doing that, they record data about inbound links and keywords on web pages. The more inbound links any page or site has, the more influential PageRank thinks that is. So you'll rank higher in influence if lots and lots of people are pointing to you. The spiders will, this information is then cataloged at the search engine. This is also called index. And so when somebody does a Google search, they're not actually searching the entire internet. They're just searching this small catalog. Well, it's not small, but it's small compared to the big internet. They're searching this database that Google has built about the internet. So a search is looking at the database. It's not looking at the actual internet. That's why you can get results so quickly. How are we doing on questions, Karen? Because again, I just dropped a lot of information.
Well, right now we have 2 questions, which is perfect amount at this time frame. One of them is with this, and I know it's supposition, with the Google slap, as we'll call it, does that make the eBay guides more important because they're content?
eBay guides are critically important regardless of what just happened. And I'm going to be getting into those later.
I figured you would. And then the second question is, and these are both because you dropped the Google slap thing, is did this have an effect on eBay sales? Because this is from Rich, because his sales really seem to drop.
I don't work for eBay. I don't have data on what happened across the board with sales, but I will say 3 things happened this week. You had Memorial Day, and sales are historically low over holiday weekends. You had this, and then you also had their issue with the passwords that came up, the password changes. So there's a lot going on at eBay right now. I would hesitate to say it's any one thing. I would say those 3 things together may have been a factor.
Awesome. And Barbara wants to thank you for addressing the eBay slap. Actually,
You're
it's
welcome.
a Google slap.
Well, you're welcome. I'm happy to help.
Google does that. I mean, we know that when Panda and all the different ones, they slap things down.
They do. And, it's funny. Just as a matter of perspective, as sellers, we're constantly reacting and adapting when eBay drops the Cassini changes on us and they drop the spring seller or the winter seller updates on us, well, eBay has to do the same thing with these other engines, with these other companies.
Yeah. Well, I
They
mean,
get caught too.
I think it was maybe a year ago that JCPenney got a hard Google slap. I mean, a lot of big companies will get Google slapped, and they have to revise what they're doing. So it's not just eBay.
Yeah, and remember, the end game is Google wants to give a great search experience, so they're going to drive behavior that does that. So that's why they make these changes.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get back to it. Now, earlier I said you will never know the exact formula and you'll never know the exact recipe for how search works. Google, for example, has over 200 different data points that will go into your ranking score, and they're constantly changing. And the weight of any individual point is constantly changing. So that's why we can't get that exact, recipe down. Hummingbird is the newest name for the Google overriding algorithm. They chose the name Hummingbird because they feel it conveys the message of being precise and fast. And there are, what do I have here? Five key algorithms I just want you to be aware of. You can't really do much with them. I just want you to know they exist and what they do. And they're in oldest to newest order. Except PageRank. PageRank's the oldest and it's at the end. Anyway, sorry. So the content relevancy algorithm. This was huge because before this came out, and I think this was in 2009, the spiders were crawling and ranking websites as an entire website. So all of eBay.com was considered one thing. When this content relevancy algorithm came out, all of a sudden they could look at page by page. So item listing number 1, 2, 3 on eBay could be looked at differently than item number 7, 8, 9, for example. So the keywords on individual pages became much more searchable, and that was great for eBay sellers or anyone in e-commerce because the success of your individual page is no longer purely dependent on the master website that you're living on. Then they had Vince. Vince was an algorithm that focused on notable and trusted brands. The concept Vince looked at is basically reputation. Coca-Cola has a certain reputation. RC Cola has a different reputation. Pepsi Cola has a different reputation. And there might be no-name cola at your local discount store that has a different reputation. The public reputation of these different brands, as the search engines read it, is now a factor with Vince in how you rank. Panda 4.0 is the other big change this week. Just to be clear, the eBay traffic drop is not related to Panda 4.0. The eBay traffic drop is related to a manual action. That much we know as a fact. So this is the quality website content algorithm. This is the thing that makes sure your web page isn't spammy, that you're actual somebody who speaks from authority and you're sharing good content that is helpful and relevant for people. And that's where eBay guides come in. That's a great way to optimize your place in the Panda algorithm. Penguin is going to help decide, the Penguin algorithm helps decide link quality. So Penguin helps filter out bump sites or sites that are just all spam with different links all over the place because they're trying to get affiliate revenue. Penguin helps tune those out and make them less visible so that when you're searching for something you actually see, you get some meat. You're not getting some junk food back in your search results. And then we've already talked about PageRank. PageRank looks at link quantity and the influence of pages that you're linked to. Okay, and what I've got here came off of something called the periodic table of SEO. These are the 3 different buckets of ranking factors. You have content, HTML, and site architecture. Of all of this, everything I've outlined in green is something that you, the seller, can actually have some sense of control over. The things that are not outlined in green, eBay does for you. Okay? So what can you do? You have control over writing your pages well, using good grammar and writing quality content. You have control over researching what keywords you're going to use and making sure that the keywords that you're using in your titles and in your descriptions are the same as the keywords people are actually searching for. That research is incredibly important. You have control over the different words and phrases you hope to be found for. So if you're selling a Harley Davidson t-shirt, you want to make sure you're using keywords like Harley Davidson motorcycle souvenir t-shirt. You know, try to get in the mind of the person who's shopping and use the words they would when they search for that item. Is your content engaging when you write your descriptions up? Are you writing up something that's easy to read, easy to follow, and also engaging? It makes them want to read more. The longer someone stays reading a page, the higher you're going to be able to rank. Are your pages fresh and about hot topics? And in this sense, of course, hot topics could be the keywords that are trending related to your item. Keeping your content fresh. If something doesn't sell, go back, edit the page. It not only has eBay benefits, it has search engine optimization benefits. And lastly, is your content thin or shallow or lacking substance? And I showed you a minute ago a slide where eBay had kind of a poor example. So you want to make sure that you write, we'll go into the details in just a minute, but make sure that you write something more than just a sentence that says the effect of, you know, cool radio, buy it. You need to have a little bit more meat in there. On the HTML side, there's very little that you can do, but what you can do is make sure you're using structured data, and that means fill in your item specifics. The item specifics are structured data eBay feeds up to Google for you. Are you keyword stuffing? Do not keyword stuff. If you are found to be keyword stuffing, Google will not like you. Keyword stuffing is using the same keyword over and over and over to a point that it isn't natural. And are you hiding keywords with your color and design? This is a very old SEO tactic, which is growing out of favor, but that might be using white text on a white background to draw up more keywords so the person looking at the page doesn't see it, but in theory, the search engine would. That used to work, but now that will drive traffic, drive rank down. So don't do that. Make sure you're not hiding keywords with your colors and design of your page. Those, by the way, are on-page SEO factors you can control. Then you have off-page SEO factors. Again, there's not very much you can control when it has nothing to do with your page or listing. I've highlighted a few in green that you can. Are you buying links? Don't do it. If you're out there buying links to get listed higher, you're going to have problems. Don't spam. Don't go out to different blogs and just spam your listing in the comments. I'm going to talk about a way you can make that work for you, but just going from blog to blog to blog, leaving comment, you know, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff with a link is terrible, and it's going to hurt you with search rank. Trust is another big factor, but there's not a whole lot you can do. It falls to eBay to meet these requirements. Coming over here to social. Do the people who are respected on social networks share your content? Are there influencers out there that maybe have clout measures your influence on social media? Google doesn't read your clout score per se, but the things that would give you a high clout score are Google will recognize that as having influence. So you want to make sure that whenever it's possible, if you know influential people, get them to share your content from time to time, or become influential yourself and share your own content. And are there many different people sharing your content on social networks? So it's both people who are influential and people, multiple people. Those are both factors in social. And then personal. What you can control is, has someone recently visited your site or favorited it? The way you can control that is by driving people there yourself. And in your social media, as you're encouraging people to go there, ask them, hey, add it to your wish list if you like it. Have them mark it in some way that they like it. Put a call to action in your social shares that will drive them to do that. And have your friends socially favorited the site. If you have your own business page that links back to your eBay store, get your friends and get more people to follow you and like it and go forward from there. Karen, how are we doing so far?
I definitely have some questions for you, mostly about keywords. And this is a good time to stop and answer those.
Okay.
One of the first questions, though, is when you were talking about the algorithm changes that Google made, one of the questions is, are the key algorithms happening now?
Key algorithms have been happening and evolving for years and years and years.
That was kind of what my answer is. Once Google makes the change, they keep that change and then they just tweak it pretty much, right?
Exactly.
Bring it forward. Another question was, what is a good amount of time to use a specific keyword in your content?
As long as it's relevant. Keep using the keywords people are searching for. Relevance is what matters. So for example, in the 1950s, ladies wore trousers. Today they wear pants. Trousers was a valid term for a very long time, but today not very many people use it as a search term.
Okay.
So as long as that keyword is relevant, you should continue to use it.
Okay, here's one, because you were talking about keyword stuffing, and that was one of my answers to that, how many times? Can you give an example of what keyword stuffing is?
Sure. I'm going to give an example based on, I used to live in Ithaca, New York, and Ithaca, New York has this cheesy slogan, Ithaca is gorgeous, Gorges, because there's all these natural formations carved out by the glacier called gorges up there. So Ithaca is gorgeous, and it's popular on postcards. So the example I'll give is if somebody has a vintage postcard for Ithaca, okay? So this would be keyword spamming. Hi, thank you for visiting my listing. Look at this beautiful Ithaca postcard. Ithaca is gorgeous, haha, isn't Ithaca beautiful? The gorges in Ithaca are so pretty. I absolutely love Ithaca. Ithaca, New York is the prettiest town ever. I used to hike in the gorges in Ithaca, New York, etc. That would be keyword spamming.
That would be annoying.
It would be, and it's very annoying. That's exactly the point. That's why Google is like, change it up. This is a beautiful vintage postcard from the 1920s featuring the gorges in Ithaca, New York. Period.
Yeah.
Move on.
Well, and I know, too, it was one of the other webinars we had is an example, too, for keyword spamming. Wouldn't it be just pulling anything that we even remotely might have something to do with the thing that you're selling, that you stick the words in there?
Yes. Yeah, I was actually speaking just now to keyword stuffing, which is a type of keyword spamming. But keyword spamming in general could just be dumping a whole string of keywords at the bottom of a page.
Okay. And then one more question, and then, Corinna got you, that she said that pants are still trousers in the UK if you're selling them there.
but it's in the it's less searched than pants would be. That was my point.
It is. Okay. And then the last question is it true that VTG is a bad keyword for for collectibles?
I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I will answer that specifically now. VTG is a eBay shorthand. Everyone needs to stop using eBay shorthand. People who are eBay shoppers get it and know what NWT, VTG, OOAK, they understand what these things mean. People who are searching in Google because her best friend just got this cute vintage dress and now she wants to find a vintage dress from the 1960s. First time she's shopping for it, not going to use VTG. You need to use the keywords people are using. VTG is not what's used by the general population, it's what's used by the eBay buyer subset.
Okay. One last quick question because it fits with this. And I just lost where it was. Oh, what do you advise? Why do you advise not purchasing links, and what exactly do you mean by that?
If anyone offers to get links all over the place for you for $10, $15, $100, don't do it. Somebody will approach you on the internet at some point to do this. Don't do it. You'll know when it comes up in front of you.
We have a whole bunch more keyword questions, so I'm going to put them all, bunch them together so you can cover them all at the end, so you can go to your next section. Does that work?
Very good.
So everybody, I'm getting your questions. I'm going to put a whole keyword section together at the end.
Excellent. Okay, so all of those things I just showed you, I wanted to show you how complicated and deep this is and how you can't control everything. But what you can control is go forward when you want to write SEO optimized listings with the 3 pillars of SEO. The 3 pillars of SEO are content, links, and social. I'm going to go into those now for just a moment. Starting with content, you must do keyword research. Must. You have to do keyword research for the types of products you're going to be selling over and over. This doesn't mean you have to spend a half hour on each listing, but if you sell coffee mugs, you probably should spend a couple of hours at some point doing deep research on what do people look for when they buy coffee mugs. Not only will it help you write better listings, it'll help you source more effectively. There's 2 different ways that it's easy for eBay sellers to do this. There is a free tool in Google. It's called the Google AdWords Keyword Planner tool, and the link is up there for you. This does have a huge learning curve, but it's free. I also find it to be very time consuming. Time is money, so I'm going to recommend you go with Terapeak. Buy the annual subscription. This will become your most valuable resource if you sell commodity items, and by that I mean items which frequently come available for sale. If you sell extremely rare antiques and collectibles, this may not, Terapeak may not be as useful for you. You may want to look to WorthPoint, but this is very important. For your eBay listings, the content for SEO is everything that's in your different listing fields. Content is your title, your item specifics, your description. So whenever I say content, you have an opportunity to optimize with keywords in all of those areas. This next item is my personal heartfelt suggestion as to how you can stand out with search engine optimization from the competition. And that is when you write your descriptions, before you drop into bullet points, facts, and figures, put a keyword-rich sentence at the top of your description that gives context for the item. And by that I mean what the item does or how it can be useful to the buyer. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a second. Putting this keyword-rich sentence up above your bullet points or your details or your charts in your description is going to really help you stand out, because Google's going to have something nice and meaty for those spiders to chew on, and that can only help you. This is huge. I want everyone to go through their listings and strip out anything in their description template that is not description of the item. Your description field needs to be very specific, describing the item. Take out your return policy, take out your, your exchange policy, your shipping policy. Anything that does not describe the item needs to come out of your descriptions. And that is now why eBay has these new policy fields. You need to spend some time setting up the new eBay policies and getting that data out of your descriptions and into the policy fields. There are SEO reasons for this. It is not just eBay doesn't like it. And then the last point on content, Google spiders may not crawl the entire title or the entire description. They may only read maybe the first 10 words or 15 or 20 words. So make sure the most important words in your description are at the top of the front of the title and at the top of the description. Okay? And I want to show you an example of why you want to write that keyword-rich sentence. This was an item I tested with on Facebook yesterday, and what I've outlined here in green, that was the first sentence of her description. So if somebody sees this out on social media, look at that beautiful content. It's pulling in. It's a nice, well-written sentence. It draws you in. You want to learn more. It's not just, strict measurements or some strict data about it. It's not, leave me 5-star feedback or I will never be happy. You want to add value put that first keyword-rich sentence, because look at how social media picks it up. And if social media is picking it up, search engines have picked it up and read it first. Do we have any more content questions before I move on? Karen, are you ready for me?
Oh my goodness, we do. I had just muted myself because Kat was complaining she could hear my typing, and then it took me a minute to unmute. Okay, yes, they're coming in fast and furious now. Okay, first question is, are bullet points still important in your description?
Organizing your content in a way that's quick and easy to display is important. Bullet points don't have to be how you do that. You could just have short sentences with a little white space between them that are not running together in a long run-on paragraph. So what's important is that making sure it's quick and easy to read, not bullet point versus no bullet point.
Okay. Yeah, I know because I use File Exchange and it doesn't like bullet points, so I just make mine all real short little sentences with page breaks.
Bullet points, this is just a point. Bullet points are actually a form of HTML, and if you're struggling with them, just use a little asterisk instead of a bullet point, because the asterisk is not HTML.
Okay. The next question was, eBay's been telling me that my item specifics are not filled in when every one of them is filled. Is there a current glitch? Do you know anything of that?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see.
I've been seeing that too.
And then Sharon was asking that she agrees with the terms taking out. Last she read, eBay says to still list the terms in the description, and she even included a page for it.
I'm sorry, say that again? She agrees with?
That she agrees with taking the terms out, but last she read, eBay is still saying to list the terms in the description. I hadn't heard that, had you?
I've not heard them saying that. I'm hearing them say, get it out, use the policies.
There is a link in the chat room that Sharon Ware put in, pages that eBay help, so that may be where they're getting that information.
Yeah, eBay doesn't always update their help, I don't think.
I think that might be the situation, that it's an old page.
Okay. Let's see, the next one is, I currently use my title as my first line in the description field. Is it time to change that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, brand first or item type, i.e. men's pants or the brand name. Which would you say would be better to have first?
The quick way to test that is to start typing into the eBay search box, and the eBay search box is going to give you a drop down of the most searched terms. So just see how it displays when you start typing in the description. So for example, if it's True Religion jeans. True Religion jeans, size small. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. I don't know how True Religion jeans are sized. But if you type in True Religion jeans, you're going to see the order and the keywords that people are searching for. So just use that to learn.
Okay. There's a big long one. Don't the Google spiders only go so deep into a web page or your listing page? So if your terms are far below, is that okay to still leave them there?
It's not okay, because you never know how far those spiders are going to read. They won't give us that data, and you want to make sure anything they read is actually related to the item.
Okay. And then the one or the other, there's still a lot more which I'll collect, but one of the things that somebody was saying is removing shipping and return policies will be a big job for people who use listing templates. Do you touch on templates?
What they can do is just don't worry about the old ones, but go forward, stop doing it going forward.
Okay. I'll give you one more and then we'll move on. Does using bullets affect these SEO concerns, or is it more a convenience for mobile?
The bullets, they display fairly well on mobile. As far as I've seen, I haven't seen any problems. And as I said, bullets are HTML, but they're kind of HTML light. So, you might have situations with File Exchange like you do, Karen, but displaying on a mobile device, they're not a problem. But if you ever do have problems, if you're ever detecting problems with them, just switch over to the asterisk, or just switch over to having short sentences that all line up with a little bit of white space in between that's easy to read.
Sandy and Karen, Gladys made a good point. She said that bullet points are completely against the global products search. So there's another issue about bullet points.
But most of us don't pay to play with Google.
Yes, that's correct. And actually, let me address that. So remember at the beginning I showed the PLAs, the product listing ads. That is paid advertisements. As eBay sellers, we cannot get put into the product listing ads. eBay can get us put into the product listing ads because we can't feed content to Google. eBay feeds it to Google for us. The product listing ads, I've read Google's specifications very carefully. It suggests avoiding bullet points, but it does not say that they are being downgraded at this time. As a matter of fact, it says you are not being penalized at this time. So it's discouraging the practice, but it's not holding it against us at this time. I've gone to a lot of other major retailers' websites. I've been to Macy's, Neiman Marcus, all these different sites. They're all still using bullet points. So at this point in time, I'm not concerned about it. Maybe in a year to 2 years, it's going to become an issue. But don't worry about that with today's listing.
Okay, one more and then, because there's still a ton, but one more and then we'll move to the next so you can get to your next section.
Sure.
So is using the title in the description field considered keyword spamming?
It might be. But also, context is very important, very, very important to Google. If it can't understand context, it is not going to be easily able to rank your page. Titles tend to be jumbles of keywords because that's what works inside of the eBay search engine. You're much better off if you want this outside search engines to read you to have a short, simple sentence. Use all the same keywords that are in your title, but structure them into a workable sentence. That is my recommendation. That context is very important for Google. That's why they spent millions of dollars on the Google Books project, so that they could learn how people write, what the context is, and they could learn, the computers could learn the English. Actually, not just the English, the computers could learn multiple languages. Grammar is also important. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's move. And the other thing is, if you had your title, the example I have on the screen right now, if your title was the first thing, you would have basically the same text written twice. Excuse me for 1 second. I hope my mute button worked and I didn't just sneeze on everybody.
Nope, you did.
Okay, excuse me for just 1 more second. Carry on for a moment.
We can definitely carry on. Ellen was asking, can we get a recap of the questions and answers? You'll be able to watch the video, and perhaps we can try to get a list of questions and get some answers from Sandy to put with it. We'll explore that with her after the show. Sound good?
Okay. That sounds great, and I think my allergies have settled down. Sorry about that.
Oh, we all have them? Thanks for bearing with us.
All right, the next pillar of SEO, remember there are 3. They are content, links, and social. So we've talked about content, let's talk about links. The quality and the quantity of links that come into your item pages is also a major factor in the search ranking algorithms. You obviously can't run around to everybody on the internet and tell them to link back to your page, but there's a few things that you can do. You can write your own blog, and then you can link back to your items. You can work with other people to be a guest blogger on their blog and then link back to your items. You can comment on other people's blog posts, and this is important. If and only if the blog relates in some way to your products, and you can add value with your comment and then include a link back to the item. You don't want to be on a blog for Harley-Davidson motorcycles and link back to The newest who's the girl from Frozen? I haven't seen Frozen, so
Elsa
Elsa
and
and Anna.
okay.
Elsa and
You don't
Anna.
want to be on the Harley Davidson blog and link back to your Elsa and Anna dolls from Frozen. You have to make sure you're adding context. If somebody's writing a blog post about a Harley Davidson motorcycle and complaining about they can't find the right part, you can say, oh, I had that problem, and here's where you can locate it. And then you're solving a problem, you're adding value. The next thing is you want to avoid bump sites. This is a practice that became popular with eBay sellers a few years ago, but it is now an SEO black hat tactic. You will be penalized if you're on pages that are just dumping links, hopefully driving traffic. Stop wasting your time. Start with social media instead. It's a better use of your time. And when you spend So driving inbound links to your items is time consuming. Make sure that you're only focusing those efforts on driving traffic to items people can buy over and over and over that you can restock. So I wouldn't waste your time doing it on a used skirt that you have one and you can only sell one. But if you have an item, maybe you sell cotton blouses, dress shirts that you can restock because you have a local manufacturer make them for you and you want to sell them over and over and over again, that might be a good product to link back to. That brings us to the last pillar of SEO, which is social. I love this comment. Social media gives companies an additional platform to interact with customers, to build their brands, create a community, all while driving traffic to their website. All of that in a nutshell, that is what social media does for your business. So to optimize this, first you need to determine who your target customer is, and then build a presence on the social media network that he or she is using. This is going to help you reach them so that you can build a brand they can trust. You'll create a sense of community, everything we just said. Search engines use something called social signals to factor social media presence into rank. Some of those social signals I have listed here. How often do you share content on social channels? How often do people visit your website from social channels? How many fans or followers do you have? Good. Does your website have social sharing elements available for visitors? And then the ebay.com listing pages do have all of that built in for you.
I'm glad you're not now.
What's the ratio of followers to people you follow?
Well,
so if you have a Twitter account and you're following 17,000 people and 4,000 people are following you, that's a ratio that's out of sync. You want to make sure you're always following more people than follow you, because it shows that you're an influential person in social media. And which influencers are sharing your content? Are people who have influence in social media actually drawing attention to what you have to offer and bringing other people to it? And I mentioned this before, the search engine Bing.com actually takes your Clout score, and everybody can have a Clout score. Just go to Clout.com, Klout.com, and you can determine your Clout score. Bing actually uses the Clout score in your search engine rankings. And then I liked what Stephanie wrote here, because this is a very simple way to look at how social affects your SEO rank. Link building was always about social proof. If more people found your page or your site to be valuable and linked to it, that was a type of a social proof. Social media helps you crowdsource your link building. So if you're out there active in social media and you have people sharing your items that you've put out there, it's sort of like crowdsourcing your link building. Being social is the fastest way to grow your presence online. Social signatures are real. Social links bring real traffic to your website. And Google hates artificial link building like the bump sites we just talked about. And I want to show you how this is a great visualization. This is something Google Plus does. It's called ripples. I wanted you to visualize what that looks like when you can touch an influential person, and ripples actually displays that for us visually. So I found this post from Will Wheaton yesterday about the Will Wheaton project. He's taping the first episode. It's going to be on the air. And this was shared by 93 people. Well, of the 93 people that you shared it, you can see these 4 people are massively influential because they have a lot more people connected to them. So you can do things like this to find the influencers that might be able to share your products and start building relationships with them on social media. And that brings us to the end of the 3 pillars of SEO. And we'll go into Cassini in a moment. Cassini is going to be a much shorter section because it's a much smaller program. Karen, do we have any more questions? And we need to move pretty quickly at this point.
Okay, I'm just going to hit 1 or 2, and then when we get to the end, if we want to, we can ask the rest of them.
Okay.
So one of the questions was, with that example you showed, so do the first 3 words mean more in search? Say bowl, lotus, enamelware, mid-century.
The first part of it, so you get 80 characters, so maybe the first 40 or 50 are what are going to be read, but we don't have an exact character count.
Okay, and then
put the most important words in the front.
And then the next one is, why is up for auction a better keyword than Catherine home?
It may not be. That was just one random example I grabbed.
Okay. What about pictures in terms of search? And, do the amount of pictures matter?
That is indeterminate. I don't know.
Okay.
I do know that your gallery picture is the one that they will see.
And then
I think that's more of an eBay factor.
Yeah. And then the last one, and I'm trying to find it, is somebody wants to figure out where they set up their policies. So I'm on a hunt for that one. Do you know off the top of your head, is it in your seller account?
I don't know, and I'm not entirely sure that they've made that accessible to all
everybody.
sellers yet. I think it's still being rolled out, but as soon as you have access to it, then you need to do that.
Yeah. And as soon as you have access to it, if you've ever had anything set up, they'll all be there.
It's going to be a project whenever someone stops to do it, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, because I don't think it's rolled out to everybody because I'm hunting in mine, and I don't find it in mine, so that's why I was asking.
You will eventually.
Okay.
It'll be there.
I don't want it, but that's okay.
All right. Shall we move on?
Go ahead and move on.
All right. I just want to refocus very quickly. We talked about Google's underlying mission. At eBay, our mission is to provide global online marketplace where practically anyone can trade practically anything, enabling economic opportunity around the world. And their key values are here. And I really do believe that this is inside the heart of everybody at eBay and behind how they do what they do. What they do is drive commerce. How they do it, this is what's behind that. Cassini is a search engine, and the primary purpose of a search engine is to help people find the most relevant content for what they're looking for. Cassini is not out there to make eBay sellers hate eBay. Cassini is simply there to help people looking for items find the items they're looking for. That's its purpose. Cassini functions to try to present searchers with results that match what they're looking for. In other words, it's about getting the most relevant items in front of a buyer who is searching that specific item. Best Match is the name of the algorithm that drives Cassini. All of these factors could at any time be weighted in Cassini in Best Match. Of all of these different things, the only thing we know for sure at this point is that defect rate starting August 20th, actually August 1st, August 20th, defect rate will be a factor in Best Match. eBay is very tight-lipped about what is and isn't a factor, but they have been explicit about this. So you want to make sure your defect rate is as low as possible. The 3 pillars of Cassini optimization are trust, value, and relevance. and we've heard this before. So how do you develop trust with Cassini? Avoid item not as described cases by carefully describing your items. Always keep in the back of your mind, under promise and over deliver. Tell them everything that's wrong with it so that they're delighted when they don't see it themselves when they get it to the other end. You can build trust by accepting returns and opting into hassle-free returns. You can build trust by uploading tracking information same day. Use a lot of high-quality images. Carefully describe your items using the item condition description field for used items. And then I would actually encourage you to copy that information into the listing description itself so that they see it everywhere. And then this is a quote from Hugh Williams. He's not with eBay anymore, but at the time of development for Cassini, this is from him. Study what it takes to be a top-rated seller on eBay. It is our definition of the key tenets of being a trusted seller on eBay, and we will use those trust signals in search. Moving on to value. Make sure your items are competitively priced. Check both completed sales and active listings when you set your price. Offer free shipping when possible. When that is not possible, make sure shipping is fair. Offer fast shipping and international shipping, and accept returns. All of these are signals for value. And relevancy. Make sure you're listed in the correct category. Make sure your title accurately identifies the item listed. Avoid keyword spamming in your titles. Complete item specifics as thoroughly and as accurately as possible. And don't keyword spam. These are some key takeaway thoughts on Cassini. Every shopper now gets a different set of results. You can never again rank number 1 to 100% of the shoppers. This is because buyers' histories and buyers' behavior is now a factor in the best match algorithm. So any variables such as how far away is the buyer from you? Does the buyer usually buy fixed price, or does the buyer tend to buy auction items? Does the buyer purchase new, or is she happy buying used items? All of the buyer history is now a factor, so everyone is going to see different results. And this, I think, is the most powerful summary. eBay relies heavily on data to drive all business decisions. Therefore, if it can be measured, it could be scored for best match. What's actually scored is going to change over time, from day to day and from week to week and from year to year. But just keep in mind, if they measure it, they can factor it in. Make sure the most important keywords are always in your title. Right now, Cassini reads your title. It reads item specifics, item condition, and the item condition description. It reads images, and it will read the description if there are very, very few results on a search. If you're searching for something that's rare and obscure and it can't find anything with that word in the title, in that situation it will go and read the description, but it's not a default. And then talking about HTML. Best Match doesn't necessarily care about HTML, but keep in mind excessive HTML may give a poor buyer experience. HTML may not render properly on mobile phones. As for search engine optimization, a small amount of HTML, such as including a YouTube video or outbound links that are going to offer more information about your product, can make your listing page more valuable to search engines, but make sure there is text above the HTML for the search engine spiders to crawl first. So have that powerful sentence about your item above the YouTube video. Don't put the YouTube video at the top. And then the buyer's opinion. Too much HTML can lead to a very poor visual experience for the buyers. So try to strip down your templates down to the bare minimum to deliver the best possible experience. And I'm going to be going through this as quickly as I can. Sorry about running a few minutes over. We should be done by about 1:15. Action steps. Optimizing for Cassini search. Number 1, follow eBay best practices. They're telling you to do things because they know that these things drive more drive a higher spend from the buyers. So if it drives a higher spend, there's a good chance it's going to be a factor in Cassini. Do keyword research before writing your titles. Use item specifics and fill in every single item specific you are prompted for. Strive for the lowest possible defect rate and top-rated seller status. List with a mixture of both auction and fixed price, because some buyers want auction items, some buyers want fixed price items. That way you can reach everybody. Try to find a source for a new multi-quantity item that you can put in your store and keep restocking. This will actually help you not only with Cassini but with SEO. And once you do that, don't let eBay see you have 200 of this item. Let eBay see you have 10. Even if you have 200 sitting on the shelf, and then you can either manually adjust it or use key quantity in the eBay App Center is a great way to adjust it. That's 99 cents a month for that program. The reason is the ratio of sold to unsold is also a factor in Cassini, or at least it was at one time. We were told that. So you want to make sure that you show you have sold 10% of your inventory when you sell one of 10, not that you sold 1% of your inventory when you sell one of 100, even if you have 100. Use Markdown Manager and Promotion Manager tools. These can give you Cassini bumps, and price competitively. Action steps optimizing for SEO. Write eBay guides and eBay reviews, because this is very, very, very strong quality content that search engines absolutely love. Make sure you're not just spamming a guide or a review with your item, but you actually take the time to write what you have some expertise in and share that information with your buyers. Use social media marketing. Do keyword research before writing your titles and descriptions. Fill in every single item specific, everything you're prompted for. Even if you don't know the answer or it doesn't apply, just put unknown or n/a. Because Google reads a blank differently than it reads unknown. And you want to make sure you don't leave blanks in your structured data item specifics. Put a keyword-rich sentence at the top of your description. And then stop using eBay vocabulary in titles. We've talked about that already. Find a source for new multi-quantity items again, because one of the things that's a big factor with search engines is longevity. The longer a page is live, the more frequently the spiders can crawl over it. So having long-term items that are frequently restocked is great for SEO. It helps you get to the top. Key takeaways: eBay's a data company, and data drives everything they do. Search algorithms evolve constantly, and that you're not going to hear when there are changes all the time. You'll hear big changes, but not small ones. Search engines have become effective bullshit detectors, if I may be indelicate for a second. They can tell when you're trying to trick them, and they're much smarter than they used to be. Relevance and trust are key factors across all search engines, whether inside eBay or off of eBay. There's no easy button for SEO and Cassini optimization. You need to do the research, offer exceptional customer service, and list new content frequently, and then update non-performing pages. Update non-performing listings so that the content is fresh and the spiders will come back over them and see new information. And again, everyone sees a different search engine result page. You'll never be number one for 100% of the customers again. So what can you do? What's your homework? Focus on keyword research. Either sign up for TerraPeak or learn how to use the Google AdWords Keyword Planner tool. To drive links, if you have the time and the writing skill, create a blog and publish at least weekly. If you don't have that much time, you can visit other blogs related to your products and then comment. Make sure it's in context. And social. Open at least one social media account. I recommend Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest. Instagram is great, but because you can't put links inside Instagram posts, it will not help you with SEO. Learn how to promote your business effectively with social media. Post once a day on each social media account that you have, And pagemage.com/education has some great resources to help you learn how to do this. And that's everything. We'll get to the questions in just a second, but who wants presents? Does anybody want presents?
Me. I want presents. Especially if they're free.
Cat always wants presents.
My favorite four-letter word.
Forgive me, I didn't have time to wrap it, so let's get to it. The first one is going to be, later today, I'm going to have a guide ready, which is going to summarize a lot of what we just talked about into very simple, actionable steps. And you'll be able to download that from my website. So the first present is going to be a guide for optimizing for eBay, Cassini, and search engines. The second present is, this is outside of the Top Rated Seller webinar series. I am asked so much, how do I get started on social media marketing? I'm just going to do my own webinar. So everybody's invited and it's free. It's going to be June 25th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Seats are limited to 250 seats, so if you're interested in going, you make sure you register. If you can't go, please don't register. Save that seat for somebody who can attend live. Everyone will have access to the download after the event. And then my big announcement is present number 3, my gift to the world.
Yay.
It is the Social Sandy Education Center, which you can access now at socialsandy.com. Everybody gets a free basic membership if they sign up for one. And what you're going to get is a weekly newsletter that will keep you up to date on the most important trends and changes in social media and e-commerce for the current week. This is going to save you some time if you don't have the time to go through and read all the news every single week. I'll kind of summarize it into a quick little digest for you. I'm going to give sellers a weekly challenge that we can all work together to develop our businesses. They're going to be launched each Sunday. A new challenge will be launched, and then in our private forums, which you get access to, we can talk about how we can enhance that challenge to make our companies more successful. And lastly, free membership is going to get you discounts on the live online classes for social media marketing and e-commerce that we're also going to launch in the Education Center. So it's a free resource for everybody. There's no charge for all these things. The classes we're going to teach are going to be 90 minutes long, limited to 25 people, and they are going to be live. So when you sign up for a class, it's going to be like you're in a classroom talking to people. So those are my presents for you. You can go to socialsandy.com and get all of them. And that brings us back to questions. Yay, questions.
Oh, yes. Those are awesome presents. Yes, questions. Brad wants to know if you're an active seller on eBay. That one just scrolled past, so I can address that quickly.
Yes, officethreads.com will take you to my website. As a caveat, I will be closing from June 15th to August 15th for a relocation cross-country, but around August 15th I'll be back in business.
And you've been selling for a while, right?
Since 2008.
Yeah, so all of this stuff you've used for your own, all the stuff you presented, you use for your own business and your own growth.
I'm a top-rated seller and also a power seller.
Okay, one of the questions, and this is always a topic of conversation, so maybe you can talk with me about it for a minute.
Sure.
Good till cancel versus 30 days relist, automatic relist, and all that stuff. eBay customer service recommends to people that they don't use good till cancel. Your thoughts?
Everybody you talk to at eBay customer service has a different piece of advice. Not everybody you talk to at eBay customer service has extensively studied on this topic. My personal opinion is when I put something up for sale, I want to give it the best possible chance it can to sell. That means I want search engines to find it and I want Cassini to find it. That is why I do good to canceled. Now, I don't leave my items stagnant when I do good to canceled. I periodically go back and review them. And I make tweaks and changes to them so that the content stays fresh as far as the search engines are concerned. And as far as eBay is concerned, it helps too. It's important because anytime you end a listing and start another, you break the link. So if that link is out there anywhere on the internet, it will go dead, or it will point to other people's stuff on eBay. If you use good to cancel for an item you're trying to sell, that link is never going to break. It's going to stay the same item number.
Yeah.
And well, one of the things that I found too, for me personally, is I look at my Omniture reports and find out how often my customers come in. You know, that what do they call it?
Traffic
Frequency.
reports.
Yeah, and the visiting frequency. And you know, your customers, if they're your regular customers, especially if you sell in a more narrow, like you sell clothing, you know, it's more specific niche. They know what you have. They're coming to see new stuff. They know if you're just taking down old stuff and tweaking it. The
Yep.
other thing I found is we get busy. Stuff ends. We forget to go back and relist it. 3 months later, you can't relist it. I have right now personally a box of 75 challenge coins that I have to relist from scratch because they fell off, disappeared, because I played with 30 days. So you have to decide how much time you want to spend relisting versus listing new content. Does that make
Exactly.
sense? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's see if I can find, let's see. So Bev just asked, and this is, since we're talking about this right now, so the 3 free eBay, oops, I said that bad word. eBay has this new 3 free relists that some sellers are getting, you know, where they can automatically relist something 3 times for free.
Yes.
So is that bad for SEO?
Auctions are always bad for SEO, and I think people are tending to use that with the auctions because auction items don't get crawled fast enough usually to rank in search engines. Unless there's a tremendous amount of external traffic or links driving to that item. You know, like remember when Farrell sold his hat for charity? There was a tremendous amount of traffic, so people saw that in search results. That scares me, actually, the automatic 3 free lists. I'm scared because I see so many listing errors down the road from people who are new to eBay and not sure about what they're doing. If you're using fixed price, just put it up good to cancel because you're only going to be getting it for the 30 days. You know, you get 30 days out of each listing fee.
Yep.
If it's a fixed price item. If it's an auction item and you're careful with it, I don't think it makes any difference because your item won't get crawled fast enough.
Exactly. And that was a lot of the different things. And now, so they're asking now, though, about, you know, if it's relisted a bunch of times with no sales, it syncs in Cassini, and it'll eventually sync if it doesn't sell fast. And that whole click for impressions versus sales. But now click for impressions versus sales really only matters on a multi-item, right? Because if it's a single item, you only have one of them. Once you've sold it, that rank's not going to matter to anything. Do I have that right? So, let's see. So
to answer that in part, what I would say, no problem. So if you have an item that say has reached 400, 500, 600 views, it's an item you have one of, it's a used item, it's a $30 or $40 item, it's not very valuable, I would end it, start from scratch, because apparently what you did before wasn't working. And then try again.
Okay.
But if it's a multi-quantity item, I would let it be.
Because some of the items have sold, which will give you the ranking, which will keep you in search.
Now you can tweak and freshen multi-quantity items. That's
Cool.
a new development in the last month or so. So I would say go in there, refresh it, maybe play around with your pictures, do something to tweak it and freshen it up, but don't end it if it's got a lot of sales history.
Okay. And one of the things that I personally tell sellers if they have Selling Manager Pro is make sure that they add, because you can customize your columns. If you have the views and the start date column on there, then you can look when you have a day and just sort it and find your old stuff with a lot of views that maybe needs to be tweaked. And that's easier than, you know, searching through all of the stuff if you have those columns, if you have Selling Manager Pro.
Yep. Good point.
That's what I do. And I have people I've worked with that I found stuff that goes back to 2008, and it's like, okay, let's tweak these. Okay, now let's get the real questions, because there's more and more and more and more.
Those were real.
Yes, I know, but those were the ones that just popped through my eyes. Okay. Regarding item specifics, if you don't know all the info on a collectible, it's better to remove the empty blanks rather than leaving them sitting empty.
If eBay is prompting you for the field, it's because Google wants that field answered. So if you don't know the answer, just type the word unknown into the answer.
Okay, that was the next part of the next question. So unknown is a good answer. Does Google or eBay use cloud as a factor like Bing?
No, not that they have informed us. I highly doubt eBay does. Although I do suspect eBay is looking at inbound links and where traffic is landing from eBay. I know they're looking at that. Whether or not they're using that in search, I don't know. Google has not stated they are in partnership with Clout to look at that information, but the information that will have you rank with a high Clout score is the same information Google may independently be using as signals. So who are they connected to? How much influence do they have? How much influence does the people they're connected to have? Google may look at those individual points rather than the score that summarizes it.
Okay, and speaking of inbound links, is Pinterest considered an inbound link?
If your item is found on Pinterest and it drives someone to eBay, that is an inbound link to eBay that has come from Pinterest, yes.
Okay. Now another question.
Pinterest tends to rank really well if you've written a good description on your pin, by the way.
Cool. I need to do something with mine.
Don't just drop the title. Don't just drop the title. Take that first sentence out of your listing and use that. Write a helpful sentence.
So actually use the pin, don't just click and drop and run.
Exactly. Actually put something in the pin description.
Okay. That means I got more work to do.
You can change it going forward. You don't have to go backwards and redo everything you've already done.
It wouldn't be hard for me. I only have 3 pins, I think.
Well, there you go.
There. We won't go there. Okay, now another question people are asking about is the Facebook, eBay seller community pages, and whether those are bump sites or if you post links to your items. And I know bump sites are different, so could you explain what those are in the process of this?
Bump sites were basically a site where you could go and upload links to all of your items. That's all they were. It's just pages and pages of links and links. Did anybody ever click on them? No. I had one of my social media clients was like, well, I've been doing this. This takes time. Why should I do social media instead? And I said, all right. I had her go to her Omniture traffic report inside of eBay. It comes with your eBay store subscription. I said, so take a look and tell me how much traffic came from that bump site. And she looked and she looked and she pages and pages of data. She's like, I don't see it anywhere. I said, well, that answers your question. So these bump sites do not drive traffic to eBay at all. They're a complete waste of time in today's world. They used to have value. They do not any longer. The other thing is there's these eBay sites where people will, inside Facebook, there's groups where people will share their items and say, hey, visit my eBay item, I'll visit your eBay item, and it's driving traffic. You want to be careful because what you're doing is you're driving traffic that is not qualified traffic. You're just driving traffic for the sake of traffic. And Cassini eventually will downgrade that for you. And search engines will eventually downgrade that for you. If people are bouncing off of a page once they get there, remember the length of time people spend on a page matters. So if you go to a page and then bounce off, go back to Facebook, go to another page, bounce off, that's going to hurt you in the long run. You're much better off spending your time using social media to actively promote your individual items and to build a relationship with possible customers.
And social is all about building that relationship.
Yeah. Now, that being said, so if 5 or 10 people follow you from the Facebook page into your thing, 5 or 10 people hitting it is not going to be a major factor. But 500, 1,000, that's where you're going to, when you get into the hundreds and thousands, that's when you're going to start to see it working against you pretty drastically.
Okay. Speaking of social media, what is a realistic amount of time to spend on social media?
I recommend everybody posts once a day. What you post needs to be a blend of content, and I'm going to go into this in detail in my webinar. You can sign up at socialsandy.com. It's free, and then everybody will get the replay also. If you use tools like Feedly or theoldreader.com that can use a reader tool that will set up basically a personal newsletter that you can go to and just find content in one place every morning, maybe you're spending about 10-15 minutes a day Or you can sit down for an hour or two on a Saturday or Sunday and just schedule things out for the entire week. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It just needs to be another task you go through each day. It just needs to be consistent. The more time you spend on it, the more effect you're going to get. But as little as 15 minutes a day to 20 minutes a day, absolutely, you'll have, that will help.
Okay, and this just popped up while we're talking about this. So would you say having a personal Facebook page for selling your items would be more beneficial for driving traffic?
Having a business Facebook page for selling your items.
Okay.
And on the business page, you don't just want to push items, you want to share knowledge. So if you sell stuffed animals, you sell a plush, share articles on how to clean the plush and what makes one plush collectible versus what makes another not collectible, why people want pre-Duffy hidden Mickeys, and all of these things. You know, share knowledge and information to draw in a larger audience, and then periodically drop in an ad for your items.
I will readily admit when items come flying across my personal Facebook page, I hide them all. Because I want to see the stories and the content and the people, not what they're selling.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have a lot of people, a lot of us, especially people that sell on eBay, have a lot of friends and followers on Facebook. And when you multiply even 1 or 2 items times 1,000 people, that's a lot of buy my stuff on my page.
Let me give you a real quick example. So I did a post 2 years ago on a Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress that I was trying to sell. So I linked to the specific dress. But my post actually gave value. It said, everybody loves the wrap dress. The way it hugs your shape looks great on every body style. All women look absolutely perfect. Something like this. 2 years later, I was contacted by the Pittsburgh Gazette for their lifestyle section because they were going through Twitter. They had found my post. They thought it was helpful. And then they shared it in the newspaper 2 years later to over 1 million people. So adding value through your posts of items for sale, you can do that too. It doesn't just have to be Starbucks coffee mug. It can be the bigger the mug, the better the coffee, and a link to Starbucks coffee mug. If that makes sense.
It does, it does. I know I used to back in the day on Twitter, I'd ask Kat, hey Kat, how does this, you know, when I was first doing listings, how does this listing look? So not only would I get the feedback from her on how it looked, but I would get other people going to look at it, and they would give me feedback. Just because you only have 140 characters. So the product was still being seen, but I was asking a question.
Questions are great.
Okay, let's see. Where am I now? Regarding linking back to our eBay items, if we sell one-of-a-kind items, do we not link back to any of our listings?
You still can add value, but your time might be better spent using social media and building a relationship with people who will shop from you again and again, instead of spending time on blogs driving traffic to one particular item. Just use your time wisely where it's going to be most effective for you.
Okay. Do picture file names get crawled by Google?
They do, but unfortunately eBay overrides all of our picture file names, so they won't read what we wrote.
Well, I'm glad I don't bother to change all mine then. Oops.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is if you use an inventory number system, just name your pictures with your inventory number so that you can go back and match it later.
Okay. The eBay guides. Some people were asking what they are, how do you find them, how do you do them, and the reviews.
I don't have the link off the top of my head. But basically what an eBay guide is a little blurb of expertise that you can share with your buyers. Actually, if you guys will excuse me for 1 second, I'll show you one that I wrote, and that will help, okay? That'll give a real quick visual. This is my Office Threads eBay store. And let's go here. And my guides should be down here. So I wrote a guide on how to shop for used dresses that fit you. And to write a guide, you go here. So the link, oh, it's not showing me the link. But you can just Google eBay guides, and any guide you land on is going to have this write a guide button as long as you're logged in. So I just told people, how to use measurements in an eBay listing to shop for an item. I went through that. And as you can see, those items down the bar on the right are all my items for sale. So by doing this, and then we've got some comments below, and people went over social media. So by doing this, it drives traffic to my items. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. You know,
Okay.
they wanted to know how, and basically it gives knowledge, it gives information, so that helps with SEO.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And then see this right here, what I'm pointing to? It enables me to connect my guides to Google+. This is the only place in social media I've been able to find where I can drive traffic to my personal social presence through eBay.
okay. When writing guides, do we need to research if someone else has written a similar guide?
No, just write a great guide.
Exactly.
Write a better guide.
Okay. Here's one for your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on having pictures in the description area?
I think it's wasteful if you're just reloading the exact same pictures in the description area. It's hurtful if the pictures are above your text, because remember, the spiders are only going to crawl the top little piece of your description field. If all they find are pictures, they're going to go away. If you have text above the pictures, it won't help you, it won't hurt you as much. The main problem with pictures is people shopping on mobile devices is they may not render properly on a mobile phone, and they may throw your template wacky when you're on the mobile device.
Okay. Here's one that's just because you showed your store. How come you don't have the new eBay storefront?
The new eBay storefront does not give you does not give you ways to customize.
Right.
Nor does it give you
And-
custom pages.
I feel that it's thin content.
Promotion boxes. Doesn't have any of that.
Personally, so I'll go back to it. I have content in all these different little boxes. I have my own pages over here. I have lots and lots of content about me. And I don't have an option to do that on the new storefront. The new storefront looks beautiful. And eventually, of course, I am going to have to shift over. I'm hoping I can just drag my feet long enough that the new content, that I can add my own personalized content at that time.
Yeah, I have the new storefront because I didn't have any of that personal content, so it was easy for me. Of course, I need
Sure.
to do my banner. But for people that have all those custom pages and all those other things, they lose all of that. So
Yep.
waiting until you have to is probably smartest.
That's my choice.
Do collections help in SEO?
Oops, that's the wrong page. I don't know. eBay gives us no data whatsoever about collections. Any traffic to our store from a collection is lumped into ebay.com traffic. So that's the answer.
Okay.
eBay is not providing that information to sellers.
Okay. Let's see.
Wait, was the question
Go ahead.
SEO? If
SEO.
it's SEO, it may help with SEO because the more that you're out there, the more there is for the search engines to find you. But I'd much rather spend my time on social media where I can measure the results than on collections where I can't.
And another similar type question to this is Google paying any attention to the new eBay followers?
I have no idea.
The one thing that we and Sandy said it in the beginning is Google and eBay don't really tell us what exactly. They give us ideas, but they're not telling us exactly what they pay attention to.
The one thing Google can see is, so basically if somebody follows you, it's just putting links between you and that person. So Google can see there's a link connection. Whether or not it reads that as a social signal, I don't know.
Okay. Let me see if I can. This is one that's a specific thing, but maybe you have an answer to it. I use my store maps in all my listings. The app inserts a world map and a North American map at the bottom of the listings. Is this
Yep.
affecting my SEO?
Probably not, but it's My guess is it's rendering poorly on mobile devices.
Okay. I'm trying to see if there's any, I mean, a lot more keep coming in, but let's see. Do you have any recommendations for creating a new template that is maximized for SEO and mobile?
Yeah, don't use any colors, don't use any backdrops, just basically use a template that simply drops information. I can give an example. I can show you what I do. Let's see. Let me show you this one right here. My templates are very simple, very clean. It's just information. I've got my cute little sentence at the beginning, quick bullet points, measurements. That frame on the left is actually something eBay is putting there. It's my store categories. It's not part of my template.
And in the new store, the categories are much bigger and much more prominent to see.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I've noticed in my store, because I was bad in most of mine because I use File Exchange. I was lazy, and I have them all in other, and it's like, I really need to fix that. Because they're definitely a larger text, so it's
Yes.
like if you click, so it's very obvious that I have everything in other. Yeah. So, you know, and eBay is always going to make changes, so we just have to roll with the punches.
Yep.
All right. There are probably more questions that I didn't see buried in the comments that we have, but lots of people were saying thank you so much for all the great information. Some people said they could listen to you all day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank
They
you.
love you. They
Kat,
love you.
Kat, did you see anything that I may have missed?
I saw a lot of questions we missed, but here's the deal, guys. We can't stay forever. Sandy has a job. She actually has a store to run, and she's getting ready for a move. So here's my suggestion. I'm going to do my best. Hopefully we have a good recording to get this up within 24 hours, so we will be able to listen to the webinar again. You'll be able to download a PDF of the slides that Sandy prepared, and I'm going to ask Sandy if she'll pay extra attention to our Facebook group for the next couple of days. And
I'll go over to the Facebook group right now and hang out for the next couple of hours. No
there
problem.
you go. So if we didn't get to your question, if we missed it, or we ran out of time, or we didn't actually word your question the way you wanted to, now you have access to Sandy on the Facebook group. And if you just search, she's trying to find you the link, but if you just go to facebook.com and search for Top Rated Seller Webinars, you'll find our group there. We'll be over there approving people every minute. I know that you're already seeing comments on Facebook in some groups about your webinar, Sandy, so it's getting out there. If you're confused about what your current guru is saying and what Sandy said, please come to the source, come over to the Facebook group and ask Sandy to clarify, and let's get that discussion out there. Again, we have another webinar coming up in June, at same day as yours, Sandy, so we're going to have to coordinate, make sure that ours is not the same time as yours, okay?
I'm a few hours later. I already did.
Awesome. You're so good. So don't forget, you've got 2 webinars on June 25th, so don't plan anything else, okay, guys? You've got to listen to Lisa Satora help you get ready for the 4th quarter for holiday selling, and you've got to listen to Sandy talking about social selling. So
I'm
go
still going to
sign
be
up.
on jet lag.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we're going to be back home from the eBay radio party. So check out pagemage.com/top rated seller webinars to sign up for our next webinar, and join socialsandy.com and sign up for her webinar. And we will see all of you again on June 25th, and before then on the Facebook group.
And I will pull a log of all the questions that were asked if Kat doesn't shut the door before I get it.
I won't.
I won't let you. And I will look and see which we covered, which we didn't, and try to create kind of a document so we can kind of even put them in the top rated seller that this question was asked, and kind of have discussion around them. How's that?
Wonderful.
Awesome. We will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.